What's going on, YouTube? It's the God Achilles here. I'm bringing you guys a brand new YouTube video here today, and today was a sad day for us Flak players. We received a nerf, guys, but don't worry, I've got you covered on boss melting. So just stay through this whole video, and you'll be shredding bosses like you were before the patch. So we're gonna go ahead right now, and we're gonna load in. I'm gonna go over the new build. Not much has changed. Only one gun has been swapped out. And I think I swapped out one legendary artifact. So if you didn't see my one-shot the robot flak build back on my channel about a week ago before this patch went live, I highly suggest looking at it. The build really hasn't changed much from that, but it has a few key differences. So for those of you that don't know what the nerf to flak was, the nerf to flak is very simple. His Gorillas in the Mist augment was nerfed. So instead of the duration being 8 seconds, you now only get 5. And the critical hit damage went from 50% to 25%. Now this is still manageable, guys. Don't think that this is like a game breaker. I think honestly the biggest hit that Flak took was they nerfed the King's Call. The King's Call, if you guys didn't know what that legendary is, I mean, the game's, it's still relatively new, so if you don't know what the King's Call is, the King's Call was this pistol, and I'll go ahead and I'll inspect it for you so you can see it. This, you could farm off of Tyrene, the very last boss, and the reason it was so good is the very bottom text: critical hits return 3 bullets to your magazine and ricochet 3 bullets at the nearest enemies. And it was firing at 10.5 rounds per second. They nerfed the fire rate by almost 60%. It went from 10.5 to 3.15. That's like a 60%. Like, it's roughly like 60 to 65% reduction in fire speed. It shoots ungodfully slow. It's not worth using, guys. If you have a King's Call and you got to use, if you want to still use it in its prime, I highly suggest going in offline mode, using the build, and seeing, like, you can obviously see why they nerfed it. But we're not talking about that. We're going to get into the new build. So the only gun that has changed from my last video is the top weapon. They used to be the King's Call. Now it's a Lyuda. Because the other thing this patch brought us, or this hot fix, is it buffed sniper rifle damage across the board by 20%. So the Lyuda shooting 1 bullet and getting 3, that's pretty good in my book. It's doing 20% increased damage. So it's 100% way more viable right now than the King's Call. The other weapon I'm going to mainly be using is the Engulfing Shreddifier, and this, in my opinion, is a god roll. It is anointed for the Beastmaster, and while Fade Away is active, you gain greatly increased accuracy and handling, and it does fire damage. Fire being like the best out of the elements right now, in my opinion, just for the sheer fact that most bosses take fire damage. Like, they do, fire does quite a lot. And having a fire plus having that anointment on a Shreddifier, the bosses melt from existence. I still have my Burning Flacker. It's also my other fire element weapon. And I'm running a Venomous Hornet right now just in case I run into enemies that have armor, not shields. So this build is it's a variant of the old build I had for One Shot the Robot. But we're switching some things up. This shield is almost necessary for this build. This Sentinel Recharger instantly begins recharging when broken, and its cooldown is 20 seconds. Now this isn't 100% necessary, guys. There is another shield. I can't remember what it is. I think I still have it, actually. Yes, it's called like the Stopgap. And whenever your shield breaks, you become immune to damage taken for 5 seconds. So this one is more than, if you have this and you don't have the Sentinel Recharger, it's okay. I'm using the Sentinel Recharger because it has a better recharge delay, a better recharge rate, and it has a higher capacity than the Nomadic Stopgap. So, and I also like the fact that, like, it gives you that little bit of leeway room where if an enemy breaks your shield and you kill it at the same time, your shield's going to instantly recharge and you're going to get back to full shield within no time. So, other than that, the other stuff we are using is the Giant Slayer Bounty Hunter. The reason we are using this is Flak has a 3% chance to activate any purchase hunt skill when dealing gun damage. And we'll go over the hunt skills, and I will point them out later on, here in just a second when I go over the new skill points. But on this roll particularly, I got 25% increased weapon damage and 33% weapon handling, which are both really good. And I got plus 5 grenade capacity, but your grenade is just on this. It's just whatever grenade you like using. You're not going to be using your grenade much to kill the boss. The other one, and this one I think is necessary for this build. If you get a better version of it, great. I would prefer the 16% shock damage on there to be incendiary damage. But beggars can't be choosers. I'm going to be using this until I get it. So this, I'm not looking at the slide, the imbue slide with corrosive or any of that. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at the restores 18% of your max health after killing an enemy. After you kill an enemy, you're going to regen 18% of your health. That's pretty good. And I'm getting 14% weapon reload speed and 149 health per second. So, why is this important? I will show you why is it I didn't go over the artifact. The artifact is, or actually that was the artifact. I'm an idiot. I'll show you why that's so important. So in the green skill tree, we're going to be using the same augments. We're still going to be using Gorillas in the Mist, and we're still going to be using Unblinking Eye. A lot of this build has not changed from the one-shot the robot build. The key differences are we lost 3 points in Persistence Hunter. The reason we lost 3 points in the Persistence Hunter is I mainly used it for the action skill duration. It gave you a 45% action skill duration. Normally it being at 8 seconds, so you take roughly 50%, you'll get somewhere between 3.5 and 3.7 seconds, so we'll just round that up and say 4, so you got roughly 12 seconds, almost the full duration without Gorillas in the Mist to just spam critical hits, and that's why it was good. But unfortunately, it's not worth using now for the sheer fact that we're down to 5 seconds. So if you take 50% of 5, it's 2.5. So you're only going to get about 7.5 to 8 seconds. It's not worth 3 skill points, in my opinion. Your 3 skill points that you use there are better used elsewhere, and I'll show you where right now. Since I don't have a Rowan's Call, like, I will make a different video for specifically using Rowan's Call as damage in another video, because I think Rowan's Call is going to be an absolute monster once I get a good roll. I have one now, but it's shock. It's not good. But we have 5 out of 5 in Interplanetary Stalker, 3 out of 3 in Leave No Trace. The only thing that's changed in this skill tree is the fact that on this build I no longer have 5 out of 5 in Grim Harvest because I don't have enough skill points. But we got 3 out of 3 and Leave No Trace. This gives me a 36% chance to add ammo directly back to my magazine in whatever gun I'm shooting when I hit a crit. So you're in Gorillas of the Mist. You're just hoping for 5 seconds of non-stop crit shooting. That's your ideal. That's what you're ideally going for. We only have 2 out of 3 in head count, but I think that's more than enough until they increase the level cap. And when they increase the level cap, Flak is just going to be a monster. We have 5 out of 5 in Two Fang, obviously. 3 out of 3 in Big Game and the Most Dangerous Game. And 1 into Galactic Shadow for the crit damage. Now, if you remember back on my class mod, anytime I do gun damage, I have a 3% chance to activate any hunter kill skill. So that could activate the Most Dangerous Game, which would give me 42% gun damage and almost 17% critical hit damage, which would be amazing. And that lasts for 120 seconds. And actually it lasts for 4 minutes due to this one, because my hunter skill kill's duration is increased by 100%. It would also activate Interplanetary Stalker And it would activate Furious Attack, which we're going to 5 out of 5. We're also going to 5 out of 5 Overclock for the fire rate. We're only going to put 2 points into Eager to Impress. Just because I don't think it's that good of a perk, and we need to progress further into the skill tree. We're going to put 3 out of 3 in Turn Tail and Run. You want to be constantly at full health for this build. If you're not at full health and you activate your action skill, immediate 25% damage lost. So you want to try to be at full health when you activate your action skill. We're going to 5 out of 5 Hidden Machine and 3 out of 3 the Fast and the Furious for the gun damage. We're going to 5 out of 5 the Hidden Machine for the sheer fact when a boss goes into damage phase where it's just laying on the ground and you can just do damage to it, it has no target. So you're going to get 30% increased damage just for putting it in damage phase. We're going to put 2 into Rage and Recover because we need to put 2 points in somewhere. And we might as well put it in Rage and Recover instead of up here, because I think the points up here are just useless. If you put it in here, are just useless. I think putting them here is better, because after you get a kill skill, now this is a kill skill, you get a 3.2%. You regen 3.2% of your missing health per second for 3 seconds. So you're going to get 9.6% total health back on a kill, plus the 18% that you're going to be getting from your artifact, and whatever extra health you get from moving around. So you're going to be getting, for one kill, what to say, you get 30 to 35% of your health back, bare minimum. Almost more than enough to keep you at full health almost the entire fight. And what's going to pull all the build together and just make it what it is, the power inside. Flak and Flak's pet gain increased damage when Flak activates an action skill. And if you're at full health, the increased damage is doubled. So you get a 25% damage buff if you just activate it and you're not at full health. But if you're at full health, you get a 50% damage increase, and it's for 15 seconds. That's huge, especially since we're trying to melt these bosses as fast as humanly possible. And of course, we already know our augments. We're using Gorillas in the Mist, we're using Unblinking Eye, and we're using the Gunslinger Jabber for the 5% critical hit damage. That's the build, guys. So if you need, just kind of scroll through the video, see what you need to see, the portions of where you're at in the build, and use this as a guide if you want to make this build. But I'm going to show you that we are in Mayhem 3. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go out of the menu and come back in. We are in Mayhem 3. And this looks like where enemies take 50% less damage from normal bullets and attacks, but we get 45% normal bullet damage, so we're only losing 5. And we should be able to do just fine against this boss. So, I didn't mean to go into the shop. I meant to buy ammo, but I think I already had full ammo. So, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to showcase what this build can do. So we're going to drop down into the Grave Ward fight here. Now you might be asking why I'm not testing on Tyreen. I'm not testing on Tyreen because she's not worth farming anymore. Just because she's too slow. And the only good thing I really needed from her was the... what was it? The King's Call. But since the King's Call is no longer good, why would I use it? I don't know why I swapped to that. Alright, we're gonna wait on him here to he's gonna move the stage. Once these come out, you run through them. Activate your thing. And look at that, you're just melting this boss. I will do one more run because that wasn't exactly the best showcase of it. So I'll see if I get any legendary drops here, and I'll save, quit out, and come right back in and show you. That wasn't exactly the best showing of this build. What we get here? I can't even see what this is. Not very good. And an anointed quick draw monocle. Oh, it's Gamma Burst though. Rip. Okay though, but I'll do one more boss kill on this. But to kind of explain why I don't farm Tyreen anymore is she takes too long. And the only thing I was farming her for was a God Roll King's Call, or Queen's Call, whichever one decided to drop. And since the King's Call / Queen's Call is now nerfed into pretty much oblivion, it's almost unusable. She's just not worth farming anymore. It's better to just farm the Grave Ward and hope and get the world drops like the Rowan's Call. Like I said, I will be making a separate build video when I do get a decent Rowan's Call. So what do we got here? Once again, minus 50% damage with all guns, but 45% skill damage and cooldown rate. So we're okay there. These ones should be all right. Refill on ammo, and this should be the last run here. This one, if you get minus percentage with normal bullets, you just use your Shred of Fire. If you're unlucky enough to get, he has elemental resist, plus he takes less damage from incendiary, you're better off to just use the Lyuda. But it's kind of, you just use common sense, and you will do well with this build. As you can see, guys, we are just shredding this boss right now. Like, just absolutely shredding him. And there you go. The boss had enough time to do one thing, and one thing only. It's not as good as the King's Call. You can't just activate Cloak for 12 seconds and just spam the right trigger. But hey, I think it's killing just as fast, maybe a little bit slower than a normal King's Call run when I was doing damage testing. So I see this as an absolute win. And I get to use one of my favorite sniper rifles in the game. I love the Lyuda. I've loved it since Borderlands 2. So, if you guys did enjoy the video, please be sure to like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Please be sure to follow me on Twitter at @thegodachilles_. This all will be in the description below. Please be sure to follow my live stream as well if you enjoy Borderlands content and speed kills on bosses, because it's kind of something I like to specialize in. I like making these build videos to help you guys get into the speed kill of bosses and just the legendary farms in general. But alrighty, guys, I hope you have a good day, night, whatever it is for you. And YouTube, peace out.